And hello, everybody. I hope you've been having a good week. Those of you who live in a place that's not infested with apocalyptic smoke and where half the province is on fire and tens of thousands of people have fled their homes. If you live in a place that's not like that, hopefully you had a good week. Here, it's not been great. It's been a lot of people have been evacuated. So we're not here to talk about that disaster, though. We're here to talk about another disaster that people have been asking me to comment on. I don't know. I'm sorry if I haven't been putting out too much effort content lately. It's just been really busy at work. Really busy at work. So I just haven't had a ton of time for it. The media taste matrix is almost done. I pretty much just have to actually post it, actually record the video. But I think it's looking pretty good. I'll give you a little sneak preview. That is what the media taste framework is gonna look like. And it should be a lot of fun. And then I hope to make this a part of movie reviews going forward, or just reviews of any kind of media. So just hold that up there for a second. These fires happen in Canada, yes, every year at the same time, and seemingly there's nothing they can do about them. It's kind of like the DSP defense. It is what it is. Nothing I can do, but I digress. It is kind of where we're at. So look forward to that. I'll try to get that done. Let's see here. So that's about it. My work's changed kind of our schedules around quite a bit because of the fires and I don't know, just a whole bunch of stuff that's going on. So I might kind of be around at weird times for a while. So you might see some streams later in the a bit later in the day. Earlier in the day. You might see streams early in the day. So I'm just kind of filibustering to give people a chance to show up. The fires are seasonal. It happens the same time every year, and it's a disaster every year, and there's nothing they can do. Let me see here. Air pollution. Let me see if I can find the what it is. Air quality index. So the air quality index is let me see here. So good air quality index is anything under 33. Once you start to get up to 100, it starts to get pretty bad. Once you reach 150 to 200, it gets really bad. It reached 300 last week. It's not even really on the scale. It actually broke the scale. There was a literal picture of a dude wearing a gas. Let me see if I can find that. A dude wearing a gas mask is how bad it got. Where did I post it? No, that's not it. Oh no! It went up way worse than I thought it would. Okay, that's actually way higher. It went up to almost 400. Fuck me. Let me just post that. I got some N95 masks and I've been wearing them outside. They seem to work pretty well, and I have a couple of HEPA filters just running basically 24/7. My electric bill was actually quite high last month, but I mean, kind of is what it is. So yeah, this was earlier this week. Uh, as you can see, it reached 374, which is a lot. Um, it's like double what the scale caps out at, and there's a picture of a dude with a gas mask. So that's just kind of how it's been the last week or so. So I'm just kind of been in hiding. But we're here to talk about a disaster that's as big as the province burning down, and that disaster is what Trump's been doing. So I'm going to be honest, like I don't get what this whole thing. Yeah, it's I don't really want to post the pictures because it'll show where I live specifically, but Kai Makata says your channel is currently my favorite on YouTube. Yours, AA, and the Distributist. Todd Lewis has great essays, but is drier than what I prefer. Day streams are just too long for me. Yeah, they are pretty long. I generally I like long things. Like I watch Kino Casino and stuff, but yeah. So I don't know what Trump's doing. The best guess. Okay, so there's a couple different ways. So let's maybe just go and do some background. So we had the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. For those of you who don't know what the Jeffrey Epstein thing is, I forget how it originally blew up, but there was this financier was what they called him, or banker or investor or whatever, Jeffrey Epstein. And it turned out that he had like at least 2 islands in the Caribbean where he ran this like exclusive club that was basically a house of horrors. So it turned out he was trafficking a bunch of kids, of teenagers, and a lot of people, or some of the biggest people in the world, were going there and presumably doing horrible things to these children. And a lot of big names got involved with it. And Jeffrey Epstein got arrested, and he was put under suicide watch. And somehow, when he was under suicide watch, he committed suicide right before he was about to testify and start naming names and start exposing this stuff. So basically, nobody believed that that Epstein committed suicide. I remember I did a poll the other day, back when Epstein committed suicide, and I said, "What is more likely?" I think it was between Russia rigged the 2016 election, aliens are real, or Epstein killed himself. Okay, Vidloss, okay, he corrects me a bit. Yeah, so Epstein was a school teacher. He allegedly was only worth $500 million, but his lifestyle in no way suggested it. Epstein lived a lifestyle of someone who has like tens of billions of dollars. If you start like adding up his expenses, the private jets, his own island, there's no way he only had $500 million. He never made a trade. So obviously there was a lot of shenanigans going on. Nobody believed that Epstein killed himself. And this became a big issue because it was just a very flagrant example of how the elites are completely above the law. And this was just so blatant that we had basically 100% confirmed credible evidence that there was an international pedophile cabal and that they were covering it up. And just a kind of a funny side note is people make fun of the Q stuff, and I don't buy into the Q stuff, and I think a lot of it was fake. I do find it funny that a lot of what they said turned out to be accurate, like factually accurate, that there was a cabal of pedophiles that controls the U.S. government. I mean, like, that was 100% proven. So this became an issue for Trump and MAGA. Part of Trump's thing was he's like, we're gonna expose Epstein. We're gonna release the Epstein files. We're gonna release the client list. His son tweeted about it. Elon tweeted about it. It was this big thing. So when they took power, they went kind of radio silent on Jeffrey Epstein, and they kept saying, "Oh, Epstein was way before QAnon, deserves no credit." Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, let me rephrase that. That aspect of QAnon was actually accurate. The inaccurate part is somebody's trying to do something about it. Crownless King says, "Vote for me and I'll release the list." Yeah, that's basically like some of what Trump did, and it was maybe not like a huge campaign thing, but it was definitely part of it. And it was like a symbol that we're going to have transparency and accountability, and elites are going to keep getting away with stuff. And this was part of the crooked Hillary. This was the part of all that kind of stuff. So recently we had a press conference with, I think her name's Brody, the Attorney General, and Donald Trump. And someone asked about Epstein. He's like, "Why? Who cares about Epstein? Why are people still talking about it?" And a lot of his base were not happy about this. And this is probably the biggest base revolt, or maybe like the first real base revolt I've ever seen from Trump. A lot of people got really pissed off, and then he just started doubling down and tripling down and saying, like, starting to try to gaslight his supporters that the whole thing was a scam, the whole thing was a hoax. Just completely and totally, and just totally lost it. Yeah, the influencer thing with, yeah, they had the Epstein folders. They had like these folders, like, we have the Epstein list in here, we have the Epstein files, and all this kind of stuff. And that was all, that none of that happened. And Trump's like, "Well, what Epstein? Like, people are still talking about this. There's nothing to it. It was a scam. This whole thing was actually a Democratic Party gay op to destroy my presidency in order, okay, like, to do something." Like, I don't get it. How? Okay, so let's take this at face value. Okay, let's say that the Democrats made up, like, the Jeffrey Epstein thing. Like, why? What would be the purpose of them coming up with, like, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And Trump's had a lot of meltdowns on Truth Social, and I've said this many times, he has to stop using Truth Social. To my understanding, I don't think they even put out like press releases a lot of the time now when Trump meets with a foreign leader. He'll do some like boomer post with misspellings describing it in like a very inept way, and that becomes like the official press releases. So let's go through this. This was the truth that led to a lot of it. And something I find interesting is the people on Truth Social aren't even backing him. On his like echo chamber grift platform, even those people are angry about it. Now the other thing that I don't get is why he just, and we'll talk about why I think this is the case, is why he thought that this was a good idea. Like, it's just a little baffling to me, because I feel like this is the worst possible way this whole thing could have been handled, and pretty much any other method would have been better. Like, my suggestion would have been, just say that, like, the Biden Justice Department fumbled it. They destroyed the Epstein files, or they lost the Epstein files, or something happened to them, or there wasn't really that much stuff. The investigation wasn't super thorough, or just say we're looking into it and never mention it again. I don't know if there was really a need to have, like, this kind of meltdown and start yelling at his base. So we'll talk about that. Let's go into this. The radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again, just like with the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, the laptop from hell, which the Democrats swore had come from Russia. No, it came from Hunter Biden's bath. Okay, just a bunch of rant. Okay, just a bunch of stuff. Okay. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein host. It's a hoax, guys. It's 100% a hoax. It's you didn't see any of it. You didn't see all the famous people involved. You didn't see when Trump brought this up. It's a hoax. I mean, he could have also just said, like, it's not as big as people think. There was, like, a couple guys involved with it. We'll investigate it, but it wasn't, like, this deep conspiracy. I don't know. Like, his base is so sycophantic, they will believe just about anything. But in this case, he somehow managed to... I don't know. He somehow managed to do this. Okay, so... my past... Okay, so... Their new scam is what they will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein host, and my past supporters have bought into this bullshit. Hook, line, and sinker. So if you're worried about Epstein, if you think it indicated that there was, like, some shady stuff going on, the fact that he committed suicide, there's other stuff to Epstein, like with he had, like, cameras apparently in, like, all of his houses that, like, recorded the molestations and stuff like that. So he had, like, blackmail material on people. So he's saying that they're past supporters, if you care about Epstein. Has Trump, and maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong, I can't recall him ever telling people to stop supporting him if they disagree with him on an issue. Like, I maybe he has done this. I'm sure he has. I can't remember anything to this degree. I have had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. I mean, there's been some successes. There's been a lot of just disasters. And the disasters have been completely preventable. And it's just... I think, and this is, I think, the key takeaway from this whole thing. Ultimately, you can't save Trump from himself. Ultimately, like, Trump's biggest enemy is Trump, and him doing stupid shit like this is really what sinks him. Strong party for the fake news is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. If you care about pedophiles, you're a weakling. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. So yeah, if you're concerned about this. Now, and somebody pointed this out to me, like, the cognitive dissonance of some of, like, his base. Does anyone remember Operation Warp Speed? Does anyone remember that he was the guy behind the COVID vaccine and how that, like, was completely memory hold? And then, like, the MAGA base became, like, super anti-COVID vaccine, even though Trump was the one who developed it, and they were like the leaders in like opposing it. Um, and don't get me wrong, I'm trying to give context to this. I'm not doing this just to attack MAGA. I'm saying the fact that his base is in revolt for perhaps the first time, and maybe I'm overstating it, but if it's, I'm not overstating it, then why does he keep posting about it, and why is it getting to him so much? The fact that his base is in revolt over this, I think says something. I think that this issue has traction, and I think that a lot of people are legitimately really upset about this. And this is probably the worst possible way to deal with it, is to just basically insult people who have reasonable concerns. Not to say, like, once again, he could have said Biden destroyed the files. He could have said, what are some other things? Biden destroyed the files. There were no files. Stuff like that. Like, okay, I'm going to be honest. If Trump had have said that the Biden Justice Department destroyed the files because they implicated top-level Biden officials, I honestly probably would have believed it, or at least thought it was somewhat correct. Because that is like a plausible thing to have happen. Like that is like possible, and that is something that might be true. That has like a decent chance of being at least somewhat true. But he's going with this. So, once again, this is what his base is in revolt on. And this is also seems to be the issue that Trump is picking his hill to die on with his base. Like, makes a lot of angry posts. He does a lot of stupid stuff, but I don't know. Once again, I'm just going to ask chat. Have anybody in chat who's also been following this? Anybody who's been following this, has Trump ever attacked his base directly like this, and has there ever been a base revolt of this scale? And has anyone seen, like, I've seen Trump rant about the left, I've seen him rant about the Democrats, the media. I've never seen him get this angry at his base before. And the fact that he's getting mad at his base because they care about a pedophile is really, really bad. I mean, it's bad optics. I know that Trump doesn't care about optics, but like there's a certain degree. So why do I think he did this? Okay, so the charitable explanation is basically that Trump is a massive narcissist, which I agree. I think we all acknowledge that. And he got mad because his base was talking about Epstein instead of praising him for whatever thing he did that week. Like, his base just stopped being sycophantic enough. And they're like, look, dude, we want the Epstein stuff. And he couldn't deal with that. He couldn't deal with mild criticism. He couldn't deal with the fact that they weren't talking about the big, beautiful bill. And so the meltdown is over this. And that, I think, is the most charitable way to look at this. Is that this is just pure narcissism, and this is him throwing a temper tantrum because people care more about Epstein than they do about the big, beautiful bill. Which, I mean, if that is the charitable explanation, that's not a good place to be. That's not a good place to be. So there's three real, I think, reasons that Trump did this. Just why he's made this such a big issue. Number one, Trump was directly involved with this. Trump went to the island. Trump had sex with the girls. He was involved, at least, with money laundering with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I'm going to be honest, and people can call me like a Trump defender. I don't think that Trump like partook in any of the merchandise. It just doesn't seem like a very Trump thing to do. He doesn't like underage girls. He likes like adult women with like big fake boobs and stuff like that. I don't know. It seems kind of out of character for him. And I don't know if he could have like kept a secret, and I don't know if they would have even wanted him there. So I personally don't think that Trump was directly like involved with Epstein to that degree. So you can agree with me or disagree with me on that one. So I don't think that that is the case. Number two, the second possibility is that somebody in his administration. Yeah, there's also just there's no record of him visiting the island. I have never really seen any compelling evidence, and I might just be missing it, that Trump is actually a pedo, and that he's actually done any of that. I've seen evidence he's done a lot of other stuff, but I've never really seen anything. So, sorry, so number two. Okay, so number two. His friends. Okay, Asuka makes a good point about how we would talk about Ivanka. That is Ivanka. The Ivanka question is another question that we can talk about some other time. Number two, people in the administration were involved with Epstein. I don't know, somebody in the administration, some of his picks, senior officials, people he's appointed, went to the island. They had sex with the kids, and they're on the list. And if this information came out, they would be, it would look really, really bad that they had this and sat on it. And they presumably had these people confirmed when they were on the list. So that is number two, and I think that that is definitely a possibility. I think it's a possibility that some of them are involved with it. Now, I have heard some people who I respect say that there wasn't as... It is a bit exaggerated. Like, there was not as many people involved with Epstein as first appears. And this doesn't come from, like, a liberal or anything. That there was a handful of guys, but... because of the way it was covered up and because of the suicide and stuff like that, it makes it look a lot bigger than it was. And like, rather than it being a couple, like actually being like a couple dozen guys max, the way it's kind of been just all the cover-ups and all the other stuff has made it seem like it's hundreds of people. So I don't know about that. I think that's possible, but that's option number two. Now, option number three, and I think by far this is the most likely thing, is Israel was behind the whole thing and was openly behind it. That Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent who was given large amounts of money, and his goal was to entrap prominent, powerful people and get blackmail on them so that they could ensure that they would be loyal to Israel. I think that is by far the most likely reason. And if that were to come out, that like the Mossad and the Israeli government were involved with that, and that they were running this human trafficking ring, it would look really bad. And if there's one truth in American politics, they will do anything to protect Israel, even if it involves like doing stuff like this. So that is what I think the answer is. Whether, even if it was like only a couple kids who got trafficked, if Mossad was involved with it, I think that's reason enough for them to cover it up. And maybe that's the most charitable answer, that none of like Trump and his administration aren't actually like pedos. They're doing it to shilf and sweep for Israel. So I don't know. People in the chat, what do you guys think? I don't mean to be like a conspiracy theorist or stuff like that. Yeah, Epstein bragged about being a Mossad agent. Ghislaine Maxwell, or whatever her name is a Mossad agent, and her father was a Mossad agent. I mean, they're very tightly involved with it. Maybe the files just basically confirm 100% the case. So I'm going to be honest, and people can say I'm a pussy or I'm a bitch. I think that is the answer. I don't personally think, as somebody said in the chat, if Trump had CD13 said, if Trump had sex with like one of them, he probably thought that they were over 18. I don't think he did that. I don't even know if any of the major figures in his administration were involved with Epstein. So I think that that's it. Is that it's ultimately about Israel. It's a little bit about the embarrassment of it, but is there even anything about that theory that hasn't been proven or strongly implied? Like, we've got so many things that would make sense. Where did Epstein get all his money? What was he trying to do with all of this? Why is Trump defending him so hard? Why are there all these random connections to Mossad? It's like the degree to which both political parties have tried to completely suppress any mention or any talk about this. The only real thing in American politics that I see this level of fanaticism about is Israel. So that's what I think it is. I know that's probably like a cold take, but I don't know. Maybe once again I'm giving Trump too much credit by saying I don't think that he's actually a pedophile himself. But that is pretty much what I think the issue, the cause of this whole thing is. Yeah, Robert Maxwell got let's see here. Arjun, you're no pussy. You're real unlike a lot of the actual weirdos. Yeah, I mean, I'm just being. That's what I think. Like, I'm gonna be honest. That's what I think. Is the reason. I don't know. Is this having faith in Trump? Is this having faith in his admin that I don't think that they're like most of them are actual pedos and this is just sweeping for Israel? I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but if you go down, we also have like the people here. Like most of them are like really negative about this. We want the pedos exposed. We support Trump 100%. Okay. Johnny B. Bad points out something. Okay, so we're going to do what I always do, and we're going to relate everything back to internet drama. So, Kino Casino was going after Rich from Review Tech USA, and they had a stream entitled Review Tech USA Exposed. Now, in his drugged up stupor, Rich came to the conclusion that they had found out that he had like folders on his Dropbox full of bikini pictures of his ex-wife's children that had been recently viewed. And so he came out like out of nowhere and just started talking about it. He's like, look, it's not what you think. I know there's pictures of kids there. I'm not a pedo. It's not CP. It's like there's no CP in there. And he just started like going on about it. Um, and people were like, what? No one even thought that. Um, like, and he just put it out there. Um, and he just started like talking about the whole thing. And I bring that up because that kind of reminds me of like what Trump did. Even if there was no cover up, the fact that Trump did this makes it look like it's a cover up. I mean, would people agree with me? Even if Trump was not involved with this, um, Trump was not involved with this. No one is in is. It makes it look like he was some sort of yeah. And the pictures of the kids was in his porn folder. It makes it look like he was involved. So, let's see here. Where are we? What's okay? Let's read this one. What's going on with my boys and in some cases gals? They're all doing a fantastic job. The talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration? Did the Biden administration make a big deal about Epstein? Once again, I sorry if I keep asking chat, but I'm okay with being proved wrong. Like if my recollection of events is inaccurate, I'm perfectly willing to admit that. And there are lots of times people have posted something that I forgot about in the chat, so that's why I'm doing that. But did the Biden administration make like a Epstein a big thing? So Obama, Hillary, and Biden created the I don't know. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? Okay, well, but Trump, if there's nothing in there that that hurts MAGA, then why doesn't he release? Like this makes it make even less sense. If there's nothing in there that could hurt him, why didn't he just release it? Yeah, like Blue Team. If Trump was on the list, wouldn't Biden have leaked it? Like it doesn't make any sense. So they made this like fake document. Okay. So let me just go back and let's just try to go through this logical chain. So Obama, Biden, and Hillary created this Jeffrey Epstein hoax, and it was somehow to try to discredit Trump. And this was apparently like a core aspect of the Biden administration was to constantly talk about Jeffrey Epstein. And I like to what end? Like I don't get it. Like what is the end? What is the goal? Like I just now to be fair, a lot of people early on did for a long time think that Trump was in the Epstein files and did think that he was guilty. But once again, and it's also just a thing with Trump, and I do get tired of it sometimes. Just the constant lying and the constant attempts to gaslight his base. Like, dude, we were there. We know what happened. Like, at least come up with something that, like, has some possibility of being true. Let's see here. Instead of okay, the left is imploding. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen. They tried to do the same thing again in 2022, 24. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that no one cares about. No one cares about it. No one. Yeah. So let's look at. I think he's talked about this. Some other stuff. Let's just go through. Like. And it's not just that, like, he brought it up once. He's been posting about this a lot. The Wall Street Journal printed a fake letter supposedly to Epstein. These are not my words, not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures. I told Rupert Murdoch that it was a scam and he shouldn't print this fake story, but he did. And now I'm going to sue his ass off and that of his third-rate newspaper. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. That's, once again, this is the President of the United States. This is the President of the United States. Like, I don't know. And once again, I appeal to you in chat, because if I'm being unreasonable, please let me know. Am I being unreasonable in just thinking on a very basic level that this is super unprofessional and undignified and is just something that a president should not be doing? Is doing these crazed boomer posts? I just don't. So, okay, so we have Trump racking up wins, most secure border in history. Okay, here we go. Based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. The scam perpetrated by the Democrats should end now. I thought there wasn't anything, though. So now there is stuff, apparently? Okay, so then we have, like, another just massive rant post. About Epstein. Like once again, if Epstein is bullshit, why is he constantly talking about it? Like, it's I think, like, I'm trying to think of an example. It's like if I started saying, there's this woman I didn't rape. And I just brought it up, like, at the start of every stream. Like, I didn't rape her. I didn't molest her. This stuff didn't happen. And I just keep bringing it up constantly. I don't know. And once again, we've seen this behavior from lolcows time and time again. What does DSP do? What does Rich do? What does any of these people do? When something's bothering them and someone's called them out, is they constantly seethe about it. So, let's see here. Okay, Truth Social. Now, I will say, a success that Trump has been did have, is a number of companies are moving to the U.S. From Europe, particularly German companies, because Merz is somehow worse than Schultz, which I didn't think was possible. But a lot of companies are trying to get out of Europe, and I can't really blame them. Yeah, Penn Island also brings up, he's the one who made this a big deal. Let's see, the high-speed train to nowhere. Just going down and seeing what else there is. Bahrain. Halt fentanyl. Like, okay, so I've been speaking to Coca-Cola about using real cane sugar in Coke in the United States, and they've agreed to do so. Maybe that's the biggest win. So Constantine says, I'm on the same page when it comes to anger towards Trump. I never expected to see the files. Yeah, but that's what makes it so bizarre. A lot of people didn't. Let's see, 0 releases. Okay. Okay, so let's go look at what some influencers are saying about this. Now, if people want to take the perspective that this is bad, but it looks like we're going to get border security, it looks like there's going to be deportations, there's a lot of critical existential issues that Trump is making progress on or will make progress on. And as bad as this is, we have to just put this aside for the moment and try to get the border secure, try to get deportations, try to get immigration under control. And that is more important in the short term and the long term than the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. That while this is bad, and while this makes Trump look really bad, the bigger issues are just the bigger issues. Now, I sympathize with that position, and to a certain extent, I agree with it. But the people I find who are saying that aren't even really saying that. They're going above and beyond. So we're going to go to the guy who's rapidly become one of the worst people on Twitter. Let's take a look at Red Eagle Politics. And see his posts. We're talking about that. The internet is not real life. X isn't real life. Okay, it's the base doesn't care. Preventing amnesty and enacting mass deportations matters more than releasing the Epstein files. Saves more children from being human trafficked as well. The GOP is trying to pull a fast one while we're all divided over this. Yes, they're both matter, but that's not the point that we're making. Let's see here. Let's see. I think he said some other stuff. But I don't really get the point that of this as someone who supports him 100%. So yeah. Let's see here. Dems are in shambles. We can't talk. We have to stop talking about Epstein. Maybe I was wrong. I thought there was like some crazier stuff he said. I could be wrong, but that is, yeah. So there has been a lot of people who are kind of Does anyone else know someone who's shilling? I think Real American Politics is doing like his fence thing. fence sitting kind of thing. I like him. His takes on Ukraine are so bad. I can't even like. I have to just stop if like watching it if he starts talking about Ukraine. Let's see here. Okay, Representative Anna Pauline Luna says that President Trump and AG Pam Brody's decision to decision tonight to unseal Epstein grand jury files was quietly in the works behind the scenes. So now we're going like back into this was a 40. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get this narrative. So Epstein doesn't matter, but it does matter, and Trump saying it doesn't matter was a 4D chess plan to distract people so he could get the files released behind the scenes, I guess. Okay, let's see here. The Wall Street Journal one. Let's see here. I will give him credit. He did call out Israel for attacking the church. Let's see here. Okay, I remember there was something. I could be, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like there was some other like cringy stuff he said, but I could be completely wrong on this. Is Trump making a massive mistake? Okay, what's this? I actually agree with most. I don't know. He did like a cope stream, and it was not the best. So, is there anyone else that I should look up? I'm sorry, I was unfair to both of these guys. Their thing wasn't as bad as I remember it being, so I apologize to them. Let's see here. Oh, by the way, so this is like the controversy that we have, like these people who were selected to play Link in Zelda. I think the issue is they wanted some tranny to play Zelda. I don't know, like they look pretty much like Link and Zelda to me, at least. I don't know. I think they look pretty much like how I imagined them to look. Even got kind of like Link's rounded face with like the pointy chin. I think she looks quite a bit like how I would imagine Zelda. They made Zelda a girl. Yeah, that's the complaint, is they made Zelda a girl. What was I thinking? Oh yeah, this was a funny one. Burkina Faso has become the first formerly French colonized nation in the south of Sahara to produce tomato concentrate. Yeah, tomato concentrate. Apparently, like they weren't able to develop. Is it that hard to make? I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Where's the other picture of her? Oh, okay, yeah, this was funny. Uh, I know we're doing like a random field trip, but that's why you come here. For hard hitting political commentary and random internet drama. Let's see, where is it? Okay. I don't know, like, she looks kind of like how I'd imagine. I mean, Zelda looks different game to game, but I mean, uh, I think she looks perfectly fine as someone to play. Uh, so I don't know. At least it's not Anna Tyler Joy again. That's one thing I will say about it. What was I? Okay, let's see what people are saying in chat. James Lindsay. Let's see here. Okay, let's see what kind of cringe we have. Uh, oh yeah, there was another bizarre thing on True Social I missed. Trump called Pete Hegseth Secretary of War, which was kind of weird. Let me find it. Is there a way to search on True Social? I honestly don't know. I try to avoid using it as much as possible. Let's see here. Okay, I don't have it, but he called Pete Hegseth the Yeah, here we go. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was great on Fox News this morning, talking about modern weapons and warfare. I mean, oh, Trump wants to change the Department of Defense to Department of War. Oh, okay. All right. I guess. Okay, that's my bad. I got that wrong. Okay, so then there's been this like total. Okay, so let's talk about the UCU. I think that covers the Epstein thing at least somewhat. So Trump has just completely reversed course on Ukraine. Now it seems like he's fully on board with continuing to support Ukraine. Like they're going to start shipping the weapons again. Maybe money's going to start flowing, but it's like it's a joke, it's a larp. My understanding is let me look it up. I think Trump sent like 10 interceptors was the latest arms shipment to Ukraine. 10 Patriot interceptors. Let's see here. Just trying to find this. Let's see here. They're gonna send 17 of them. I think it was like 10 missiles. If somebody knows what the somebody knows an article where they reference it, I'm pretty sure it was 10 Patriots. Or is it 10 Patriot batteries? Okay, here we go. Okay, Kiev Independent. Okay, so... Okay, so I am correct. Okay. So yeah, so Trump is sending 10 Patriot interceptor missiles. This is being treated as like a huge. This is like being portrayed as a huge thing. That he's sending 10. I think America produces. I think it's up to 650 or so a year. Keep in mind, it takes 2 interceptor missiles at least to destroy one inbound missile with any degree of accuracy. And Russia will fire like hundreds, if not thousands, of drones and missiles. Like, the U.S., I don't think produces enough Patriots in a year to fully stop one of Russia's nightly attacks. Let's see here. Okay. Let me see if it says how many. Okay, so in some nights, Russia will fire 18, like 20 missiles and like 400 drones. To take down the missiles, that's like 36 Patriots in one attack. That's for one attack. And if they're shooting down drones, that's like the entire yearly production of it. So, yeah. Now the thing that I've seen is something that irritates me is the narrative, and Trump is guilty of this too, that Russia is not willing to negotiate, and this is something we've seen since the beginning of this crisis. This constant refrain that Russia is not willing to negotiate, they won't come to the table, they're the problem, Putin won't talk to anybody, and that's kind of the ongoing thing. Now, Putin has pretty consistently said since before this crisis he is willing at any point to have a discussion with no preconditions. He will not do that, though. No, that is ignored, though, and it's just said that he's not willing to come to the table. Now, once you understand that Putin coming to the negotiating table means an unconditional surrender by Russia, then it starts to make a little bit more sense. Because that is what they mean. Putin needs to come to the negotiating table, give up everything, and then maybe we'll negotiate about how many countries Russia will be broken up into. Is how it's worded. So that is just something like it's just something that's repeated ad nauseum. Russia's not willing to have negotiate. Like, even if you think that the negotiations will be bullshit, it's factually inaccurate to say that they won't have negotiations because they have always said that. And it's, as far as I know, I don't know if the Russians have ever actually like walked away from it. So now we have another one of like Trump's ultimatums. Let's see what CNN has to say. New development Tuesday reinforced the idea that Trump has significantly shifted his view of the Ukraine war. But his short time horizons and lack of specificity on what exactly he will do for Ukraine, which are hallmarks of his leadership, correct? There's little reason to believe that Russian President Vladimir Putin will change his own calculations. Still, some things have undeniably changed. Let's see here. Worst case scenarios for the first 6 months of Trump's second term could mean for Ukraine didn't come to pass. What? I don't know. Things are pretty grim. The Russian summer offensive is plodding along. They're getting hit nightly by hundreds of. I mean, it's pretty bad. Um, and I was going to get to this in a second. So the Epstein thing is, I think, very illustrative of a lot of stuff that Trump's done, and I think Ukraine is another good example of this. Trump could have come to power and said, look, this war was a disaster. This war was a shit show. Biden completely and totally fucked this war up. I don't think there's anything I can do to salvage this. I'm going to get America out of this war before things get worse. Before, like, we can't salvage it. This is Biden's fault. This is Biden's war. We're just going to pull out. I'm not going to support Zelensky anymore. I'm just going to walk away from it. And Trump could have done that at the start. As Constantine said, he could have done this when they started the talks. But he's made this his war, and he's made it his, like, mission. He's taken responsibility for it. He found the puppy, and the puppy looked at him with eyes, and he brought the puppy home, and now the puppy's his puppy. And he has to clean up the puppy's messes, and he brought that upon himself. Because he fought, and once again, this is the whole narcissism thing. The whole narcissism thing. That, I don't know, I guess he thought he would just call Putin and schmooze Putin, and Putin would be like, oh man, Trump, you're so cool. Okay, we're gonna just give up on this existential war. Okay, we're winning, but like, Trump, you're such a great guy, and we're gonna make a deal, and they're gonna walk away. Trump's hostility towards Kiev and misgivings about pumping. Ukraine faces the possibility of losing territory to a Russian summer offensive. It's losing territory, and more horror that civilians must bear. I want to point out once again that about, you can correct me if I'm wrong, something like 14 to 15,000 civilians have died since, like, I think since 2014. I don't mean to demean like the deaths and the suffering, but that is like a negligible number of deaths for a full-scale, like, war wherein there's missiles flying, there's artillery, cities are getting leveled, and we have like 14,000 people or 15,000 civilians over like more than a decade. Israel, God only knows how many people Israel's killed. Israel's killed probably at least 5 to 6 times as many civilians. Once you start to bring in disease and starvation and the fact that the numbers are probably being downplayed, who knows? It could be it could be an exponentially higher number that they've done in less time. Let's see here. But diplomatically, it's in a more favorable position with the Trump administration than anyone could have dared hope. When Trump had the Oval Office dressing down. Like, I think you can say a lot of things about Russia, but they have been trying to avoid civilian casualties. Have they leveled entire cities and destroyed Ukraine's infrastructure? Yeah. They've wiped out most of Ukraine's power grid. But they have not, like, we hear, like, Putler, we hear it's a genocidal regime, we hear all this stuff. Russia has been avoiding civilian casualties. And, like, you can take that for what you will. You can be pro or anti-Russia. But if they were going all out and they didn't care how many people they killed, there could be tens or hundreds of thousands of casualties by this point in the war. easily, but there aren't. Yeah, I don't know how accurate it is. I've heard that there was war that the Ukrainians killed a whole bunch of Russian civilians in Kursk, but it's kind of difficult because the media won't cover it. Okay, so Trump's hostility towards Kiev and misgivings about pumping U.S. aid into World War I style quagmire might mostly be motivated by his dismay that Putin snubbed his peace plans, which were slanted towards the Kremlin. So, so Trump's peace deal, which we covered, um, which was like a conflict freeze that Putin rejected, was somehow slanted towards Russia. Basically, like it was a shitty peace deal. It was you're winning the war, but you have to just basically give up now that things are turning and you're on the verge of like a total victory. That was slanted towards Russia, I guess. And then Putin snubbed his peace plans. I mean, like, Putin didn't do that. Putin said, let's have a negotiation without preconditions. Okay, the problem is if they actually talk to the Russians without preconditions, they're not going to do what they like want them to do. So it's better. Yeah. But now at least he's shed some of the that by force of personality can bend Putin to his will, and by promising Patriot missiles to Kiev, which Putin said on Tuesday are already being shipped, and open to a new Russia sanction push in Congress. He's added steel to American peace. Okay, so the bone crushing sanctions are insane. So these are the sanctions that Lindsey Graham's come up with. So it's going to be 100% tariff on any country that buys Russian oil. So that would include India. They will just put 100%. Like if this goes through and they do it, there's just going to be 100% tariff on Indian goods. On a lot of countries buy oil from Russia. Chinese goods. The sanctions are meant to punish third parties because they can't actually sanction Russia anymore because it's just not working. So we're gonna like have this like catastrophic. Let's see here, bone crushing. Okay, 100% tariff oil from Russia sanctions. Let's see here. Trump did not provide. The new sanctions would include 100% on tariffs on Russian exports to the U.S., as well as 100% secondary tariffs on countries that buy oil from Moscow. Like that's not feasible. Um, So, okay, what is it now? So let's see. What countries would that mean they're putting 100% tariffs on? Um, okay, a bunch of African countries, some Latin American countries. Let's see. I wonder if Japan or Korea buys Russian oil. India, China, they're going to sanction. Turkey. And the EU. I mean, I guess if the EU still buys it, they're gonna like sanction probably, I guess, Hungary, or whoever. Like, I don't get how that's going to do anything. Also, like Russia's federal budget, Russia's federal budget isn't even based on oil. Percent of Russia's budget is oil. Okay, so they're claiming it's 30%. I So it's okay. So I've seen different estimates as to it. So okay, let's see here. Okay, so 30% of federal revenues and 16% of all government revenues. So I don't know. Once again, I've seen this a bunch of different estimates as to how much this is. I don't think that $1 trillion rubles is even that much. Let's see here. Oil and gas are roughly 6%. Do you have a source for that, Constantine, that I can look up? Just, I thought it was around 15% or something like that. It is like it is a substantial amount of money, but it's not really quite as high as people think it is. Okay, so Russia, oil and gas. Okay, let's see your economy of Russia. I mean, it is important. It is a substantial amount of money, but it's not like Russia's not like Saudi Arabia or something like that. Let's see. Just trying to see how much. Just trying to see where the oil is. Okay, federal budget of Russia. Let's see here. Okay. Well, I can look that up in a second. It's kind of tricky. Now, a side note is we've heard that like Russia has a war economy and it's mobilized its economy. So Russia is currently spending 6% of GDP. Per capita on defense. So, sorry, 6% of GDP on national defense. Now, how much do you think that... Okay, so let's see what the U.S. spends. Okay, so the U.S. has gone down quite a bit. Let's see what it was in 1990. Okay, 1990 it was 5.2%. Let me see. What was it during Vietnam? Okay. So, during the Vietnam War, America, I don't think by any estimation, was in a war economy, and defense spending was about 9 to 10% of GDP. Russia is at 6%, and it's fighting, I'd say, a much bigger war. So, is it really economic mobilization if they're fighting a high intensity war and it's like 6%? Yeah, it's about the same. So Russia's spending about the same as the U.S. was during the 1980s when it was not involved in a major war. So it's not a total mobilization. Just to put it into perspective, where was I? I was looking at CNN. Trump has issued a 50-day deadline that Putin has to surrender. No, like Vietnam was a shit. I'm just trying to give some context. Like America was not in a state of total economic mobilization during the Vietnamese War, but its actual spending amount was a larger part of the economy. Let's see here. So Trump has offered a 50-day deadline, or he'll do something. They'll do the. Are they up to like the 19th sanction package against Russia, or something like that? It's some like ridiculous number that we've reached. Uh, Zelensky can try to buy more goodwill with Trump to shape approach to any future peace deals. By the way, whatever happened to the mineral deal? Does anyone remember the mineral deal? Like, did that just get memory hold immediately after it stopped? Remember when that was like the big thing and we're going to sign the mineral deal and that's going to save Ukraine and it's going to bring America into the war and it's a security guarantee? Does anyone remember that? And now it's gone? It's never mentioned again. Like, so, okay. And while the caveats about Putin being willing to wage an indefinite war still apply, there's a small chance a few more weeks will persuade Putin to contemplate a U.S. off-ramp to a deal likely to hand him territory seized in a 3-year war. And that he could spin as a win for Russian pride and security as well as a rebuke to the West. So CNN literally... Okay, so CNN thinks that Trump's latest ultimatum is actually going to work somehow. And Russia is just going to stop. Okay, his anger was born disappointment that Putin has not delivered him a win with a peace deal that might yield him a Nobel Prize. Let's see here. Something I find interesting is Trump has said a couple times that like Putin lies to him and Putin does bullshit. Like, I feel like Russia hasn't really been opaque with its demands. Like, Russia laid out its demands multiple times and they've changed, but they've been pretty consistent to that. Let's see here. Like, they think also that, like, I don't know. Let's see here. We'll get a temporary 5-day ceasefire and then turns around and says, well, I mean, Russia doesn't want a ceasefire. Like, they're trying to gaslight. This is so dumb. Trump has shown an openness to sanctions. So we got this. Okay, so we have the other gay op. So the other gay op that we have is they're going to shift the expense of the war to NATO. So NATO is going to buy weapons from the US and give the weapons to Ukraine. Now, who funds NATO? Well, the US funds a lot of NATO. So America is going to sell weapons to itself And these weapons don't exist, and then they're going to be given to Ukraine. Um, so, and I think Mark Rutte called him daddy or some cringe like that. Credit goes to quiet diplomacy by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron. I never thought I'd see that. Somebody thinks that those two are competent. An agreement that NATO states would spend 5% of GDP on defense by 2035. That's not going to happen. There's a 0% chance of that happening. Trump will almost certainly be dead by that point in time, let alone be out of office. So it's just bullshit. Also, yeah, France said no to this, because they don't want to buy American weapons. And America doesn't even have weapons to sell. Like, it's something that frustrates me whenever I see, and I'll see like real American politics, I'll see a lot of like kind of the more mainstreamy Trump fans who'll be like, "Oh, this is a great idea. It can help the economy by selling weapons to Ukraine." It's like, but the weapons don't exist. It's just purchase contracts that's going to go to the MIC, and they're probably never going to actually get built. And that's the plan to save the U.S. economy, is to give money to like the MIC to build things that are never actually going to be built, in order to, I don't know. Executive hammer. Hawley opposes more aid to Ukraine. So, yeah. And once again, I've been consistently said, yeah, I think it is a good idea if America and the EU start doing some rearmament. That they try to start rebuilding some of their defense industry. They start stockpiling ammunition again. Start this kind of... But this stuff takes a long time. Like, you can't just throw money at it. It takes planning. It takes years, if not decades, to get things up and running. And it can't just be solved by saying we're going to spend 5% of GDP in 10 years or something like that. So, also they have to like supply Israel and all the other random wars that they're involved in, and stuff like that. So yes, yeah, so they're sending like 10 Patriot missiles. I do think, though, that unless the U.S. changes the way that it approaches defense manufacturing, it's just not going to go anywhere. The way the procurement system works in the U.S. is just fucked. It disincentivizes efficient, cost-effective, mass-producible weapon systems in favor of just overpriced, like, stuff that's not really needed. There just has to be some sort of fundamental shift. But my issue is what's going to happen is they're going to throw hundreds of billions of dollars at this with no plan. The MIC is just going to take the money and run. As I said, I think Europe does need to rearm. I do think the U.S. does. I think they need to start having some sort of military industry because it's embarrassing how weak they are. But I just, the idea once again that you can just spend a bunch of money with no plan and that'll somehow produce weapons is just, that's just not how life works. That's not how life works. That's not how industry works. Um, so we need hundreds of interceptors, but I don't know. Like the U.S. doesn't have the interceptors, and it's not producing the interceptors. And I don't know if it's going to get to the point where it's producing a significant number of them, like nearly as much. Um, so yeah, I think that covers about everything. So it's just kind of been a mess with Trump lately. He's just all over the place. I don't know. Maybe he'll like pull it out. At this point, I've kind of lost like faith in him in general. I will continue to support him on specific issues, and if he does something good, I'll give him credit for it. But this is such a colossal fuck up. It's going to take a lot of stuff and a lot of goodwill to get me anywhere back to like where I was even a couple weeks ago. So, anyways, guys, that's all I have to say for tonight.